Welcome to the podcast. I'm John Dean. I'm the HubSpot development and team manager here at Karman Digital. Today I'm joined by Chris Brown, our senior developer, and we're going to talk to you about why you should use HubSpot for your website. So Chris, tell everyone a bit about yourself. What's your background?
Yeah, hi guys. So senior developer here at Karman. Been here for 10 years now. So worked on a number of different systems. In the past, WordPress, Squarespace, and Block even is an old one I worked on. More recently HubSpot. Just really loving the new kind of system, the new CRM. All that HubSpot has to offer, really.
Obviously, I've been working with you for the past 7 years, something like that. And when I first started with a fledgling HubSpot agency and doing quite a lot of websites on WordPress at that time, and obviously we both worked on lots of different systems in the past. So we've both got a pretty decent understanding of the different systems out there, and you know what can be used by different businesses because we've built them before. But I don't know about you, but I prefer to work in HubSpot more than anything else in the world because it's just so going on. This compared to other systems, there's just like some great pros and cons to, some great pros to WordPress and some cons, quite a lot of cons on other systems.
It's like I said before, when we still work on WordPress quite heavily for some clients, but if I could pick and choose my daily tasks, I would always prefer to work on HubSpot. That's good without saying, but it's everything really. It's not just the simplicity of the development or the cleanness of the development engine. I just love the ability that as a kind of, I wouldn't class myself as a programmer necessarily, but I can actually develop a lot more robust solutions in HubSpot than I could for WordPress, which we'll talk about kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with other systems as well, there's a lot of things you need to sort out. If you're a business owner and you need to have everyone needs to have a website and some sort of digital marketing channels, but if you've got to go down a path of creating a website and managing that and maintaining that, you've got to look at hosting, you've got to constantly update third-party plugins, make sure that the CMS is updated, make sure that the security certificates are being updated. There's a lot to do if you're a business owner to manage that website if it's in one of the myriad of systems that are out there. Where would you say HubSpot is better in that respect?
Well, HubSpot, you don't need to worry about kind of any of that maintenance, really, in terms of security especially. So where you mentioned kind of WordPress sites, for example, needing to update the plugins, the WordPress core version, HubSpot handles all that for you. So the hosting that you pay with HubSpot includes the patching, security patches, any new release to the infrastructure, so that would automatically be kind of applied to your portal. So they're constantly releasing new updates. You don't need to worry about any of that kind of side of things. Now, the reason why this is so kind of helpful as a marketer is that you may be tempted to update a plugin yourself in WordPress that could have like unforeseen issues, breaking the site. It could affect all the bits of functionality on the site. So it's kind of it's a bit of a risk. So often people put off making these updates for fear of breaking something, or they would employ somebody to do that for them. So HubSpot, peace of mind, you don't need to worry about any of the kind of security patches or plugins. And you just focus on building content for your website, which is what they should be doing really as a marketeer.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point about just having all the security and maintenance baked in. It just takes away. Well, it's like a hidden cost, isn't it? It's a time suck for people. You need the the right skills in order to fix something if something goes wrong. So you need that sort of either technical expertise, or you need to pay a premium to get some third party to actually manage and maintain for you.
Yeah, and even on the hosting side as well. I mean, I'm sure you've had similar experiences to me, John, in the past, but website hosting is quite painful, or it can be, especially when things go wrong. So, we've had plenty of late nights in the past. I'm sure you have, when things have broken and sites have gone down on the hosting server. But with HubSpot, touch wood, we haven't had any, to my knowledge, any HubSpot sites go down from either a hack or a outage or anything like that. So runtime, uptime of websites on HubSpot is infinitely better, in my experience, than other systems.
It's a really robust platform, isn't it? So, I mean, when it comes to HubSpot, I mean, who would you say HubSpot is for, like, as a business?
Anybody, yeah, everybody, yeah. So small businesses, larger businesses, enterprise businesses, you can kind of start as small as you need to on HubSpot and then grow your site. So I think, and even sectors. So it kind of extends to legal, financial sectors, manufacturing, SaaS sectors. So we kind of work on all these. I mean, I mentioned those off the top of my head because they're the clients we work with, but it really can be for any business, in any sector.
Yeah. I mean, I know just over the past few years working together alone, like I don't think we've niched down to like a particular sector. For example, people come to us because we've got decent HubSpot knowledge. They need a CRM that works for them, and having the HubSpot CMS also baked in, which interlinks with all the rest of the systems, it's just a bit of a no-brainer, and it makes life a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, we've worked with payroll companies. We've worked with, I mean, Skyscanner was a pretty big one that we worked with. And we worked with an engineering manufacturing company that made power plants for actual, battery storage and things like that. So I mean, literally, HubSpot can be used by anyone. And like you said, what I really like about HubSpot as well is you can start with that, starter seat. You can start small. So if you're just like a small business, or you just want to test the waters, you can start even with the free tools and then starter tools. You can actually start really well. But then as you build and grow, you can then move to the pros and the enterprise levels. I mean, one of the enterprise companies we work with, it's got 7 different business units across the country, and they all need to be separated out into teams with stuff. So it can grow as you grow. It can get more complex with your needs. So that's what I love about it.
And the same applies to the actual kind of website theme itself. So you can start with a handful of custom modules and HubSpot core modules as well. So you don't actually have to develop any module yourself, really. You can just start with the drag and drop editor within HubSpot, which we'll talk about later. But handful of modules, and you can with those kind of core set of modules, you can build an entire website, really.
And even like utilizing some of the other tools, like in Content Hub Pro, you get memberships built in, which is great. So you can have like whole sections of your website just private to members. There's either could be a free membership or a paid membership. It's up to you, really. But you can,
the amount of features that are being added, they're constantly adding new features to the system, and it's really powerful now what you can actually do, especially with Content Hub.
Yeah, I mean, again, you mentioned this earlier about like putting the power in the marketer's hands. I mean, why would you say HubSpot? Why is it? I mean, we call it the dream platform, don't we? The dream platform for marketers.
Yeah.
What are the highlights of what if you're just a marketer, part of the business that needs to come in and do the work to promote the business and build the business? What bits of HubSpot CMS or the Content Hub? Must remember to call it Content Hub now after the rebrand. But yeah,
yes.
What would you say the main highlights of like why do we call it the dream platform?
I think just simplicity is the key. So in the past, I've had clients that maybe on a WordPress website that have come to us and said, how do I move this section on a page? How do I add more spacing to this element? How do I change the color? And all these things are quite simple things to do in HubSpot drag and drop editor, or really simple. But in other systems, it may be more locked down. So there's always a sense of frustration with, a seemingly simple change to make on a page would require a developer, whereas on HubSpot, marketer friendly means marketer friendly. You don't need to know any code, any coding language. You can just jump into the drag and drop editor. You can make your changes. You can preview those changes. You can even do an A/B test of those changes. But you don't need to ask a developer to do this stuff. The developer would set up the guardrails. So the theme contains all of your brand settings, your global defaults. So if you want to change a color, you can be restricted to the brand colors. So you're not choosing a fluorescent pink for something, even though that might be your brand color.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a site all about Barbie, it might be the core color, Chris.
Exactly. But so basically, you've got flexibility, but with that flexibility, you've also got some control with the theme, which is good. And we talk about drag and drop, so this doesn't necessarily just mean modules. You can build entire sections like a team lister, like an FAQ section, the gallery, or anything. You can save that as a section, so it's available to anybody on any page. So they just literally click add section, drop in the section on the page, and you can quickly build up a page with 3 or 4 sections. So it is building blocks.
Yeah, I mean, every web project we do, for every part of the page that we build on every single page, we always save them off as sections so the client can then go and reuse them. And I seem to remember, I won't name which company it was, but there were over 80 sections with about 6 or 7 different page hero styles and so on. So, I mean, that particular website has got an infinite number of possibilities for how they want to build their pages. But, like you say, you go into a page, use a blank template, choose a page hero, choose an intro section, choose a 2-column image text with a CTA button, choose a logo slider, choose a testimonial slider, choose a last column CTA row, and you can have the page built in minutes. You just need to add the copy.
Sorry, I forgot to mention earlier, kind of another thing that's really useful for a marketer is that you can choose these sections. These are pre-built sections, but you get a nice visual representation of that section as well. So I think some systems you might save a section, you might save a shared section, but it's just a name that you pick. So you might say hero. You can't see what it looks like until you drop it on the page, whereas with the HubSpot section,
the little library.
The library, yeah. You can see a list of all the saved sections, all the nice kind of images of that section. So you can literally see and visualize the page that you're going to build just by going into the library and dragging in. So it is, you can build a page in minutes and dragging the section. And the sections aren't set in stone either. So you can drag a section as a starting point, and then you might need to, you might want to change the backline image, the position of the image. So you might want to drag the image from the left to the right column. Again, it flows automatically. All the breakpoints are handled as well. So mobile and tablet views, they're all covered. So you don't need to mess about too much with, or worry too much about how these sections would look on mobile.
I mean, that's really good. I mean, it sounds like it's great for, like, you could be a complete beginner and come in and then just start with those elements. But, is it just beginners? Is there more advanced stuff than that's available?
Oh, there's definitely more advanced stuff. So you mentioned kind of, HubSpot. The main power of building in HubSpot is the CRM that sits behind it. So you've got the CMS, content management system, which you build your website content in. The CRM holds all your contact data, and it's all in one system. So it just means that you can better target your visitors based on what you know about them. So, you're talking about smart content. things like that. So if I have, as a visitor, if I've been to your site in the past, if I've downloaded your latest guide, or kind of read a blog post, filled in a form to contact you, you will know that information, that behaviour information. For me, the next time I visit, you can serve me a different bit of content on a certain page, and just to nurture my user journey and kind of progress me to hopefully become a customer.
Yeah, in fact, just to expand on that, I think that's a really powerful tool that either people just gloss over or they don't fully understand. I mean, if you think about like smart CTAs, for example, if let's just say you've got a guide on the beginner's guide to LinkedIn, for example, and then you've got an advanced guide to LinkedIn. Well, if someone has filled out the form to download the beginner's guide to LinkedIn on the smart CTA, you can then go and change it so that it says if this person has filled this form out, so if they're on this list, show them the advanced one. You don't need to show them the same CTA. They've already downloaded the first one. So get them to download the second one instead. So that little things like that can be really powerful that are underutilized or people don't quite realize the power of it. And that's just like a small bit of how the smart content could be used.
And kind of, I think I touched upon before about kind of A/B testing as well. So this is all built into any landing page or blog post. Any landing page, web page or blog post. So you can kind of actually, is it available on blog posts? I don't think it's definitely available on landing pages and web pages anyway. So you can kind of quickly set up the A/B test. And I think the advantage of having this baked into HubSpot is you can make small incremental changes. So you don't necessarily need to have a whole new page layout. You might just make a small tweak, maybe a headline message change, maybe just change the position of the form on the page. You can test this over a week, 2 weeks, and then HubSpot will decide the winner.
That is really powerful because beforehand, or if you're using other systems, you have to use other tools. I mean, there's plenty of tools out there that let you do testing, including Google's got their own testing suite. But to have it all baked in where you can just literally go to a web page, choose set up a test, name the test, put the actual change on the page, and then have it all in the one system. The fewer systems you can use to get the same results, in my mind, is the most powerful thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's all in one place, and also kind of you can go further than just having a split A/B test as well. So you can have something that's called an adaptive test. So you can have, I think, up to 5 variants. I think anyway. So you can let HubSpot decide which is the best performing variant, and it would automatically send more traffic to that variant. So it's all based on how each variant is performing, and it will direct and funnel traffic more to the best performing variant. So it's really, it can go really in depth with this kind of stuff. The other thing I wanted to kind of touch upon is the embedded content with Content Hub. So this in itself is a really nice feature to have. So embedded content, you can use this for global sections on HubSpot. So you might have a section just above the footer for your sign up to newsletter, or a call to action,
testimonials slider that you want to have,
testimonials, things like that. Yeah, so you can have,
for example.
Yeah, common sections. Yeah, so you could create this as an embedded content section. Have that as almost have that working as a global section across your site, and you can set the position of that, whether it's above the footer, above the header, so on and so forth. But what's more kind of powerful with this piece of content is you can actually take that embedded content and place it on non-HubSpot websites. So you may have an existing WordPress site, for example, that you want to unlock the power of smart content. You want to unlock the power of smart CTAs, the CRM, and that kind of part of the user journey. You can actually take that embedded content and add it to your existing WordPress site.
It's super easy to do. It's just a case of installing the HubSpot plugin on the WordPress site and then adding the content embed additional bit of the plugin, and then you can just right from there you can go and connect to HubSpot, in the page in WordPress and then just choose the embedded content. So yeah, it's great to have that content that sits within HubSpot, but on other assets that you might also have. We've got quite a few companies that might have a website in HubSpot, but they've got small microsites that are on other systems. So, that comes in perfectly handy for them where they've got assets that sit outside the HubSpot ecosystem.
It means that you can have HubSpot as a central source of truth on your main parent domain, and then like say satellite sites potentially on WordPress with the content being fed into them from HubSpot.
Yeah.
I know kind of they've always had the option to embed forms on WordPress sites, so HubSpot forms on the WordPress sites.
Yeah, not just on WordPress sites. HubSpot forms, you get the embed code, you can just drop the embed code wherever you got the embed code, and away you go.
And it just means that you're kind of getting content, you're getting your contact information into HubSpot.
That embedded content is a perfect segue, Chris, into like the Content Hub, because this Content Hub, it used to be the HubSpot CMS for the website, and now it's the Content Hub, which is everything you had before in the CMS with a bunch of new tools built in, embedded content being one of them. And honestly, the change that they've made and the introduction of quite a few AI tools, and not just throwing AI tools in there because, everyone's talking about AI now, let's just throw an AI tool in there, we're now an AI company. It's like, no, they've put some really well thought out, considered AI integrations into the Content Hub. So I guess we should just go through, give the headlines of what those are, really. There's a lot of bits. I'll start off with the brand voice because
I get excited every time we talk about Content Hub because there's been so many features added in a rapid time that it's constantly changing basically.
I think the brand voice bit is part of the stuff that I don't really hear a lot of people talking about, but to me it's sort of the power behind the AI, because the brand voice just allows you to put in content of your business. And basically, it will learn from that content and it will form a brand voice, so that whenever you use AI across your website, it uses your brand voice. So it doesn't just write like a blog post or an article or some copy on a web page. It doesn't just write it about the topic. It actually writes it in your style, and it uses the brand voice to do that. So that's a really not massively talked about bit, but I think it's one of the crucial bits because it's quite easy to use, and then it helps you then not have to rewrite. For every bit of AI that you use, especially if it's creating content, that should only be the starting point. You shouldn't just use that AI content and then just publish. You should then be reviewing it to make sure it's on target, that it's containing the right keywords, it's got a good flow to it, but also that it's written in your brand voice, in your style. So if you've already trained the brand voice element of Content Hub, then that's already fixed part of the issue, or part of the process anyway, because it's one less thing to do when you come to rewrite. So the brand voice is a really good part of it.
Brand voice really replaces, if you used to kind of chat GPT and things like that, that's effectively the prompt, isn't it? So it's the prompt that you enter to get the best outcome for your content. So
and when you think about how you write on your website, it's got a tone of voice, and it basically you're basically training the HubSpot AI to write in your tone of voice. That's the whole thing behind it, which actually sort of then leads on to like the next bit, the AI blog writer. So HubSpot's got its content assistant, and it can just create articles for you like in seconds. It's again, like you say, it's like ChatGPT in a way. It uses prompts, questions, generate blog posts. Obviously, reduces loads of time. This if anyone's been using tools like ChatGPT for a while, they'll know how quickly content can be generated, and how it can really just sort of like reduce the time between thinking about an idea and producing something. But like I say, it will always need a bit of massaging. You just don't want to click create me a blog post about, I don't know, apples.
You still need a human to read it.
Yeah. You want to make sure it's okay and it's not rubbish.
We're not completely redundant just yet.
Yeah, but
they aren't taking over.
The amount of time it reduces between thought and production and shipping basically is much quicker. I mean, yes, you could use other tools for it like ChatGPT and stuff like that, but to have it all built into the system and have it do it all within the system, and then you can just it'll put it inside the blog post article or wherever it needs to be.
It creates the blog post for you. It kind of generates the content where it should be generated in terms of the header, the body content, things like that. I mean, I'm not sure about tagging. I think you've got to put the tags in yourself. I'm not sure about that. Simple things like misinformation.
I mean, I still think like let's not get too carried away with AI. I think AI is a great tool to help you. It's not a replacement. It's something that can produce stuff in a quicker amount of time to help you get to like production quicker, basically.
The other thing that kind of really helps with, I know kind of you might say that's all well and good, you can create the blog content, but the one thing that people struggle with a lot is the image for the blog. So selecting the correct image or finding the right image, the perfect image for your blog content now.
And Chris, just to add to finding it, cropping it, optimizing it for web.
License it, paying for it. You need to.
The amount of clients that I've had where my web page is going really slow and it's got a rubbish speed score, and it's because they put 7 images on there that are 12 megabytes each because they've not been cropped and optimized. I found this free image on Pexels. It's a really good site. Yeah, but have you cropped and optimized it? No, I've just whacked in the 13 megabyte image in there. So, yeah, I mean, having that AI image generator, that is an excellent quick tool. The fact it gives you different options of styles as well.
I think you can choose a style, can't you? You can kind of dismiss the ones you're not happy with, and it'll generate others for you, and you can just keep going until you're happy, and then click insert. And that's your blog post image.
We used to have subscriptions to Getty Images, which is really expensive to get high quality images. And not sorry to say that's a service we've stopped using now because we don't need it anymore. Again, you can use other AI tools out there, Midjourney, stuff like that for imagery, but to have it all built in a system where it will look at your content, your blog content that you've just written, click on the generate image, and it'll go and generate an image based on that content. It makes it more relevant to the content as well, rather than you having to go. The amount of time some of our designers have gone looking for imagery in either Getty or free image license sites to find the right image to fit the content. That in itself could take 15, 20, 30 minutes just to find the image and then crop and optimize it.
Yeah, the other thing is you kind of get a lot of blogs that kind of repeat images as well. So you might have sourced 10, 20 images when you first created your blog post, and then you kind of tend to recycle old images. So with this, you can always ensure that you've got a unique image for your blog post. The other thing I like about it is it's really simple, but you can just, when you've generated the image, you can just click add to media library, and that will save it as if you've uploaded your own image to the media library. You can then use it again elsewhere on the site. So you're not restricted to using it for the blog.
Yeah, you can use it for associated things to keep consistency. So if you're going to do like an email about the blog post, you can reuse the same image. If you're going to do a social post about the blog post, you can reuse the same image. It just keeps that consistency. Obviously, that image will also be the Open Graph share image for items on the blog. But if you, like you say, if you need it for other use, you've got it then. It's in your library. While we're on blogs, we talked about the AI to write the blog, AI to generate the image. The third bit of the AI is the blog narration tool, which is just it's just fantastic. In a couple of seconds, it creates an audio narration of your blog post, and it's not just reading out the post. If you've got a blog post with 500 words on, it's not a case of it just reading out that. A lot of the times it might be, but you'll get the narration, and you can actually edit the narration if it doesn't sound right, if it doesn't flow right. So you can have the narration widget create an audio version. I think it's got like 7 different voices as well, like American, Mostly Americanized voices. I think there's one English sounded voice on there, and also male, female. So you can choose a different narration style, but literally it will create. You just click a button, it'll create a narration audio version and put it straight in the blog post for you as well. And that to me was uh, like, again, you could use other tools for this, and you could go
I
outside.
mean, it's a really useful feature, but I mean, I don't think it's actually kind of labeled as like an accessibility feature, but it obviously definitely is. So people, users of your site that are blind, obviously can still take in that content. It's quite powerful, really, to kind of for accessibility in general.
Yeah, that is. That's a point I've not even considered. I know that when we build websites, we also make sure they're, mobile first and accessible, so that people can just, use screen readers, or if they need to use keyboard to tab through, it goes to the right targets and stuff like that. But you're quite correct. It's like having an audio version there automatically helps you with accessibility, or with people that can't use the screen for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are, we talked about the like AI to create the blog, narrate the blog, create an image, but the content remix tool, and this is something we've been using quite a bit recently. That is just, for me, it's just incredible.
Well, it's basically everything we spoke about in one, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
almost.
I mean, from the source, the content remix tool is you take a source bit of content, and you can either choose an existing piece of content, or you can just paste it in the box. And then from that, you can say, okay, create me 2 more blogs, social posts for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X. Create me an ad, and if your if your ad network is connected, create me an ad. Create me an image, a landscape image, square image.
Create me a landing page, create me a follow-up email. I mean, you can put in your entire kind of content plan into this remix tool for the next kind of 3 to 6 months if you wanted to.
You just click generate from that source bit of content, and then you get all these other bits of content. And then if you're happy with it, you can just, like on the email, if you're happy with it, save in the email section. If you're happy with the social posts and the connected, you can save for publishing. If you're happy with the ad, you can save it for your ad campaign. I mean, it's just insane. Like, from that one bit of content, you can just remix and create lots of other bits of content that you would need to do anyway, without manually needing to type out an ad bit, or an email about that content, or social posts for the social content. Again, for me, the time saved. Again, it goes back to that thing from idea to shipping. It's like it takes it from that long to like this. And if you can ship quicker, you can do more. If you can do more, you can get a deeper website with more content that's relevant to the client and relevant to places like Google that like to have big sites with lots of relevant content on there. Your site becomes more powerful, and over time, it attracts more traffic. More traffic is more customers, and so on.
Yeah, that's quite a key thing actually when you said do more, because obviously this is going to be time saving. You may think that one post, one landing page is enough, but really, whereas you spend kind of 2 hours or 3 hours on a blog post, you might take half an hour now, but then you can use that time to do other stuff as well. So you're not necessarily spending less time.
Build your business. It doesn't necessarily need to build your website out. That's time you've saved that you can then go and, depending on how big your business is, you might be the person that also needs to go and make some sales calls, or have client relationship calls, project management calls. Depending, some large businesses will have different departments. That marketing will handle one bit, sales will happen another. Small businesses, like micro businesses under 10 employees, or SMEs up to a couple of hundred, they might just be, some people wear many hats. So if you can reduce the amount of time it takes here, it means you can actually increase your time elsewhere. That helps you generally in the business, or even just in your work-life balance. I mean, some people might just go, "Oh, cool, that saved me an hour and a half." And if they're a business owner and that's just them, there might just be a single person who runs their business, and they might go, "All right, I'm going to go off and play golf today, or whatever these single business people do.
I knew you were going to say golf there. That's quite stereotypical.
I had a very, very specific sort of persona in mind there. And the other one, and this is the one I think a lot of people have been crying out for over the years, is AI translations, because that's one thing that HubSpot, they had it in the bag. You could create language variations of pages, so you could create a French version, a German version, but you had to then go in and manually do the content in French or German. It wasn't a case of, because I know that other systems, and I know we've talked about WordPress quite a bit, but there are WordPress plugins where you can click on translate all of my site pages into French, and it will do it for you. HubSpot have actually sort of brought this in now. I think there's currently about 31 languages in the list, and they're just going to expand over time. But once you've created your web page or landing page or blog, you can just click create an AI version of this in French, and it will go through and it'll do it. Now, I'm assuming that'll be pretty decent. They've teamed up with a service, and the name escapes me at the minute, but it is a proper language service. And but I only speak English, so if I translated a page into French, I wouldn't know if it was grammatically correct. But from all the feedback that I've seen around the HubSpot forums and stuff like that, people aren't saying, "Oh, these translations are terrible." It's like, no, this actually works pretty well.
I think you can even kind of translate and then do an audio description of the translation.
Yeah. So like those, like for example, we talked about the blog narration tool. It narrates it in the language that your blog is set in. So if your blog is set as French, then it will narrate it in French. But again, I think that's limited as well to the current language set there they have in place. But again, this is only the start. I mean, it's come out of beta. It's now in production, and it's ready for everyone to use as the new hub. So over time, it will only get better, and it will only start covering more languages as well. So yeah, I mean, we've barely scratched the surface. I mean, there's. We could go on all day, Chris, couldn't we?
We'll talk. One thing that we forgot to mention, I think earlier, is the HubDB. we didn't touch upon the HubDB much. When we mentioned that you've got the CMS, the drag and drop editor, and the CRM with HubSpot, you've also got the HubDB. So this is kind of a really powerful database that's built into HubSpot, and it allows you to kind of add content that maybe is shared across multiple pages, quite detailed content. Like, I mean, it could be as simple as an FAQ section, it could be a team listing page, but it could be, quite detailed information like in a table of information, for example.
Yeah, I think that the best example we could probably give is how we tend to use it across a few clients, including ourselves. So, for example, where we've got case studies, we tend to have the individual case studies an individual page, because we want to be able to tailor that case study to the actual work being done. So it might not follow the exact same template and layout, because there might be more information on one than another, depending on the size of the project. But the case studies listing page will be driven by the HubDB, because it contains the same formatted information, the same sort of image, title, intro text, and also allows us to then include filtering options on that page for industry or work. So that's one sort of example of how we use the HubDB. The other one, again, you mentioned about team listings. If you have the team bio information in the table, then you could either just have the team listing on a team page or an about us page with the team section. But you could also just have a module that you can just choose an individual team member from if you want to then showcase that person on a different page. Same with the case studies. We reuse that HubDB table at the bottom of case studies or on service pages, where we're talking about services. We will then have relevant case studies from the HubDB for that service, so that it then improves the customer journey that way.
Yeah, as I mentioned, you could also add filtering and tagging within the HubDB, so you can you can then select a case study tag to appear on a certain page or service page. It's just really powerful, and also it's a central source of truth. So you're not kind of, if that case study module or team module is on 10 pages, 20 pages of your site, you edit the one HubDB table that will filter automatically through all those pages. So you're not constantly, drilling into 20 pages to make the same update. Effectively.
Yeah, and just going from that as well, I mean, we can create in HubSpot, you can create dynamic page templates that utilize content from HubDB, but also we can create like in custom modules that are used, and also on dynamic templates, you can use other objects from the CRM. So you could use the products object, for example. So you could pull information from your product library to build a product listing page, or you could create a custom module where you could select products to show on a certain page. So that's where the wider power of HubSpot comes in. It's not just about building a website and having all of these great AI tools in the Content Hub, which are fantastic. It's also deeper linking into the rest of the CRM to allow you to, pull information from a contact and personalize a page, or pull information from a product from the product library, or a custom object. You can create custom objects in HubSpot, so you can pull information from a custom object to have on a web page, and that's where it can get really powerful. And we've not even talked about the fact that if the user is, if they filled out a form and they're a contact in your CRM, then you can look at the report inside of HubSpot to see which pages people are visiting, because they do that as well. Obviously, Google Analytics, you probably have that on your site, and you can look at different stuff. Google Analytics is probably the industry standard, I imagine. I know a lot of people weren't happy when it switched to GA4 because of they lost some things, but inside of HubSpot, you actually get reporting on the website as well. As well as all your other reports to do with sales and deals and all the other stuff. So, I mean, we could go on all day, but we're just trying to keep this on the website bit. So hopefully we're giving a good taste of, what's available, what's possible, and how it can be an incredibly powerful tool. Thanks for your time, Chris.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm sure we'll get roped in to do another one of these at some point.
Well, we've already touched upon kind of custom objects, so that could be a good one for next time. Tailoring HubSpot to meet your business systems, processes, needs. You can really go to town with. You're not just limited to what HubSpot gives you out of the box. You can further develop the system HubSpot platform to suit your individual businesses, and that's really powerful in itself.
Well, with that in mind, if anyone would like to speak to one of our HubSpot experts, you can email us hello@karman.digital, or visit the website karman.digital. You can book a meeting directly. You can see what services we offer. We can find out how we can help you as a business. But thanks for your time, Chris, and we'll sign off this podcast for now.
Thank you. Yes. Bye for now.